Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Educators, Performers, Creators, a new show to share with you some amazing performers, educators, and creators that have inspired me in my artistic and academic life, and I want to share that with you. And if you are watching live with us today, please feel free to send us questions. How can you do that? Let me show you. You can send questions by making a comment on Google Plus or YouTube. If you are not familiar with that, you can also send a text message to this number, 612-567-2757. If you're familiar with email, you can send an email to q4question@epcshow.com. Or if you like Twitter, you can tweet using the hashtag EPCShow. And your question might be answered live on this show. So I would like to start by telling you, or actually having themselves introduce themselves. I have two featured guests, Robert and Susana, but I have other guests that are going to help me interview these important people today and bring in their own perspective. So we're going to start with Leonor. Hola, Leonor. So we're going to start with unmuting yourself, Leonor.
Done.
Hola.
Done?
Yes.
Yeah. Hola a todos. Sorry about that. Well, my name is Leonor Villasuso. I'm from Mexico. Currently, I live in Hutchinson, Minnesota, and I write for the newspaper La Voz Latina.
Great.
Oh, and I work for the elementary school too, by the way.
Good. Nice to have you here. Next we have Maggie.
Hola, and I'm Maggie Unsueta. I am a food and wine blogger. I blog at inmamamaggieskitchen.com, as you can see down here somewhere. I can't point. Anyways, I also have a cooking show on G+. It's a bilingual show called Cuentos de Nuestra Comida. And we had a show yesterday. And Paulino, thank you for being on this show, by the way.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And we have Scotty Reynolds. Hi. Unmute yourself, Scotty. No, we still can't hear you. So click there we are. Try now. Sorry, I still cannot hear you. Something happened with your microphone. Okay, we'll try to work that out. So I have two featured guests today, two artists that I would like to share with you a little bit of where did I find them. Well, the first series of this show, Educators, Performers, Creators, it's devoted to Noche Hispana artists. Noche Hispana, it's an annual show that I curate at Patrick's Cabaret in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I will tell you more about it later. And I have met these artists through the process of finding either Latino, Hispanic artists in the area that do any kind of art, or any kind of artist from any background doing Latino Hispanic art. So I'd like to introduce to you Susana De León. Hola, Susana.
Hola, Paulino. ¿Me escuchas?
Sí, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for inviting me. And hi to everyone who is on this live show. I'm excited and ready to ask and answer questions.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And hello, Robert.
Hey, Paulino. Thank you for having me. Great to have this group of awesome people here hanging out. This is fun.
Okay, great. Let's start with Susana. Susana, I have to ask you this question that everybody asks me. So now I'm in this position of asking you, why Minnesota?
Oh my. Well, you know, most people don't know what they're going to find when they come to Minnesota. And then when you arrive and you have never seen the snow, you're excited because, you know, snow is so magical. And then summer comes and you're happy because spring is so beautiful and then summer. But then, you know, before you know it, winter comes. and there's no way to leave because you know that spring is going to come back again. So you stay here, you stay for the weather, you stay for the people, and the art scene has been fabulous to me. So that's why Minnesota.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you for your help in pronouncing the name of this special group that you are the director of, doing Aztec dances. Please, how do you pronounce the name of your group?
It's very simple. You say Kalpuli, Kalpuli, and then the next part, you can break it into parts, and it's Quetzal, like the bird, Quetzal. And then the second part is Kwa, Kli, Kwe. You know, Kwa like a duck, Kwa. Kli like Atlanta, Kli, you know, Kli. And then Kwe.
Kwe.
Kwa, Kli, Kwe.
And the first part is Quetzal or Chetzal?
Quetzal.
Quetzal. So Kalpuli, Quetzal, Cuatli, Kwe.
Yeah, you did it! Excellent pronunciation.
So tell us a little more about the group and why that name and what does it mean to you? Tell us a little more about that group.
Well, the group started actually 14 years ago with the intention of creating a safe space for learning, and also with the intention of having women, children, and families in a place of learning. And we were very lucky to get a lot of support from educators like yourself, and to be able to express our artistic desires through the group. And the group is doing educating through Aztec dance, the culture of Mexico, indigenous culture, as well as talking about music, history, and developing leadership with our participants.
Great, great. And if you excuse me, Susana, I'm going to jump a little bit to Scotty. Scotty, can you hear us? Can we hear you now? Let's see. Try again.
Okay, I'm going to keep talking.
Okay, sorry. Scotty, who are you?
Well, I'm very lucky to know Paulino because I have a small theater company that does a summer project called the Picnic Operetta, and Paulino has been a great performer, singer, and adapter in that work, presenting an adaptation of fun adaptations of operas that tour to community gardens and urban farms, and we celebrate the harvest and serve food during the show too. And I also work at an arts program for artists with disabilities called the Interact Center for Visual and Performing Arts. Thanks, Paulino, for getting this interesting group of people all in the same room. I don't know that I would ever get a chance to chat with these folks.
No problem. And taking this opportunity of bringing Scotty in, the work that the Picnic Operetta does is a lot of getting involved in the communities and working with music and working with different art forms and working with children. Susana, how does your group, I know that your group achieves some of those things, working with community, people of different ages. How do you do that? Oh.
It's simple. It's organic. When we get out in the community, there are families watching us. And because we have little children in our group, children tend to look at other children and want to do what they're doing. So yeah, so it's easy, then children just want to come and dance with us. And we also have family members who bring their children, and we might start with one family member and end up pretty soon with brothers and sisters. And then when we go out, we educate at the level of the people that we're dancing with. So if we have kindergartens, we will totally change what we're doing so that the children can reach to us and not feel overwhelmed and not feel left out. And when you have families of all ages, that's kind of easy. So that's how we do it.
Excellent, excellent. And I see that Maggie has a question, and I'm going to take this opportunity to remind everyone, if you are watching live and you have a question, look at all these options. You can text to 612-567-2657. No one will answer. You can only text, or send an email to q@epcshow.com. And if you tweet, you can tweet with the hashtag EPC Show. Maggie, what's your question?
So I was listening to Susana. Susana, that's awesome, by the way. I think that's so cool that you got little kindergartners who do that. But is that so? What age groups are the people you teach?
We teach anywhere from babies to any age. And you know, when they're little, they just kind of and lot. Then, as time goes on, they start to learn the steps. So at about 4 or 5 year olds, they can dance pretty well. But before that, it's just play.
That sounds adorable.
Great.
You should be the one from me.
Susana.
Yes, Paulino.
So I received a question from Teresa Conant, and the question was addressed to you, and it said, because I see that you perform at not only at community places, but at schools too. How do children react to your performances?
We tell them that it is going to be loud, that there is going to be a large drum, and we tell them that we're going to dance about things in nature. And so I usually prepare them a little bit. And when we start dancing, children are mesmerized. They don't talk, they don't move, they look. And then when we're done with the dance, they explode and scream and clap, and they're pretty happy. And they are very good listeners because they're ready for the next drum. So I think the children react very well, and they are very welcoming.
Okay, I want you to tell me a little bit about this great picture. I'm sharing a great picture of you. It's also in the event, and I love this picture. We see you in the foreground and maybe shouting or giving a speech or something, and then some of the dancers and drummers in the background. Tell me a little more about this picture.
This is a wonderful picture. I want to thank Bill Kelly for taking the picture and sharing it with me, because we went to the Basilica, and the Basilica is such a wonderful space outside to dance. And particularly, we had a great day. It was a clear day. And I was talking to the audience about our dance performance and explaining to them what we do. And he just caught me in that moment, when I'm very passionate telling people, and this is how we dance. And I just love the picture. It's, so full of action. And it truly shows, the dancers in the background, the drummers. Everybody is there, to share. We don't quite call it education because people don't become educated until they take the knowledge and make it theirs. But to us is this exchange where we bring it out there and let people take it and transform it to their own understanding.
That's great.
Hey, I have a question.
Leonor.
Yeah, I read a little about Susana, and I read that she was a teacher in Mexico, and then she became an immigration lawyer in here, which I think is wow. Going to school to different countries, and then you have this amazing Aztec dancing group. How do you put all of that together? Because from being a lawyer, I picture a lady, not very formal, and all the speeches, and then the teacher that jumps back and forth with the kids, and so I don't know. I just think it's awesome.
That has been really easy to put together. As a teacher in Mexico, I really went into teaching because I loved seeing the transformation in people when there is education and they take it and they run with it. So I have a lot of energy. I should say I don't stop. And then that really helped me into going to law school, because you can see, the laws they're real rigid, but you can see where you can make a difference as well, because you're a people's person. And then dance has kept me sane. It keeps me from being, that lady that gives the speeches. It also keeps me passionate. In my job as an immigration attorney, you go and you see a lot of sad stuff in court. And sometimes you feel like you cannot fight back. But I think we can always fight back. We can always say something and at least make people be human before the law. And that's just my passion, and it comes with my dancing, it comes with the art, and it comes with the education. You are there to educate the judges, to educate the prosecutors, and to help your client understand the system. So it's like, I don't know, it's everything merged into one. So thank you for the question. I love being a teacher.
Great question. I want to share another of some of the amazing pictures of your dancers. And one thing that I noticed while I've seen them dancing and that their costumes and headsets, what are they called? Hair dresses?
Yes.
Hair pieces become bigger and bigger. Look at that one. And also, I noticed that your group in particular uses makeup, which I haven't seen much in other groups. So can you tell me a little more about the artistic part of the group?
I'm going to tell you a story that I tell every time when we go share our dances. I asked, the audience, what do you think the bigger headdress means? Do you think that people with the biggest headdresses have more rank? They're like chiefs or something? And yeah, people have different ideas of where the big headdresses come from. And then I tell them the truth. And the truth is that the better the artist, the bigger the headdress. That's it. There's no rank to it. You make your first headdress and it's smaller. You're starting because everyone makes their own. So then you get better at it and you make it more complicated. And as the years go by, you get more elaborate. So the only thing I would say is that people with bigger headdresses have been dancing for longer, and they have become better artists. But there's no rhyme or reason. The other thing is makeup. People get really interested in emulating the codices, and in the codices there's a lot of makeup that our ancestors used to show their faces, what they felt like, or what time of the year. And so we also have been reading and learning, and I particularly like certain makeup that shows light and kind of like goes with my name. I am the light when the dark is coming. That's my name, and so I like to show that expression on my face, and people do that.
Excellent.
So, Susana, how heavy are those headdresses?
How heavy?
Yeah.
They vary from 4 pounds to 10 pounds about. Mine, it's about, I would say, like 4 pounds. And when you're dancing and you're going against the wind, it can get pretty hard because if the wind is hitting you just the right way, it's hard to turn your head. They're feathers, and they just really pull you back.
Some back muscles are being built, I'm sure.
Next, yes.
Great. Okay, does anyone have any other questions for Susana? Here in.
I do.
Great. Scotty, what's your question? Right? Yes.
Well, I'm Susana. I feel familiar with your group from many years of seeing you guys at Mayday and at other community events, and you guys are always a super highlight there. So thank you for always being a part of that. I know that it seems like it must be so much work, but you're making it sound like it's a lot of fun. So I'm wondering about other contexts where I can see your dance, your style, or this type of work indoors, and maybe with do you guys ever do stuff in different configurations that aren't the big multi-generational group? Like, is it a form that is sometimes for maybe 2 dancers, or like a solo dancer and a group of musicians? Like, what other configurations are you guys in?
Well, Noche Hispana has been great. Noche Hispana has given us a chance to take it from the traditional, big group configuration to give dancers the leeway to express themselves in other forums. And Noche Hispana is more intimate. So I ask the dancers, come up with what's in your heart, and they bring things up. So that's one way. The other way is that we are traditional dancers, and we have the night, what we call the vigil, and Robert is getting his instruments prepared, and we have a very important instrument that I'll talk to Robert later. And there we don't dance, we sing, and so that's another way that we can kind of dance, but it's through singing. So that's how we do it. Thank you, Noche Hispana.
Well, that's a
Cool.
great segue. So, Susana, we'll have a few more questions for you. I want to start with Robert a little bit, but since you talked about Noche Hispana, let me take just a quick moment to tell people what Noche Hispana is coming up. It's on June 13, 14, and 15th if you are in the Twin Cities areas. This is the 10th anniversary, Noche Hispana 10. And you can find more information at nochehispana.org. And Susana will be there this year with her group.
Yes.
So here we have Robert. How you doing, Robert?
Good, Paulino. How are you doing?
Excellent. My first question to you is, how do you keep all those string instruments behind you not falling from the wall?
That's an easy one. They're all just secured with, well, I don't know if I can, I guess I could move this and get it a little closer, but I'm connected to a line. No, never mind. It's, they're anchor screws in instrument hangers, and I got a bunch of them online, 3 for $10. So
Okay.
they do a pretty good. They do a pretty good job.
Excellent. So tell us a little more, because we see lots of different shapes and colors and numbers of strings. Tell us a little more about that collection.
Sure. Let's see. Maybe I'll put the screen on me so I can see what you guys are seeing. There we go. So right over here. No, it's hard to do this. That's an Egyptian oud. It has 12 strings, and the joke about between oud players is you spend half the time tuning the oud and the other half the time playing it out of tune. What I'm holding here is actually similar to the oud. Some people call it the Algerian oud. It's also called a mandol. And this is one of the harder ones to tune as well. I'm not going to play the oud today, but I figured I might play a few notes on this. Can you guys hear that?
Wow, that sounds amazing. And now, tell me, is that in tune or out of tune?
Right now it's pretty close. It's pretty close to being tuned. But
well, tell us a little more about yourself. Where do you come from and where do you go? Where do you come from? Where do you go?
You're funny, Paulino. I'm going to just take these out and put this back. Actually,
there's the oud going back to the wall. Great.
So anyway, also on the wall, before I forget, in case people are curious out there, right next to the Egyptian oud is the Bolivian charango, which is a 10-string instrument that I picked up when I was living in Ecuador. Right beside that is a Greek bouzouki, right here. And then there's a guitarlele, which is a ukulele with 6 strings, kind of like a guitar, but it's small. That's the mandol I was just playing. And then this is hard to do when you're looking at yourself. This is a Brazilian cavaquinho, which has 4 strings. Below that is a standard mandolin. And then this is an Indian sitar. And then this is a Chinese liuqin, which has 4 strings. The sitar has 11 sympathetic strings and 7 chakari strings. Or, well, 2 are chakari. I forget all the names right now. But then there's a Cuban tres right here. And a Puerto Rican cuatro up there. And then this is my standard instrument here. This is the 7-string Brazilian classical guitar.
Wow.
So that's and then there's a few that didn't fit on the wall. But
wow, and you played them all?
Well, to varying degrees of expertise. Most of them I don't play very well at all. I just have fun with them. But the Brazilian 7-string guitar is my main instrument, and I play the tres and the mandolin and the cavaquinho quite a bit as well. So your question was what now? What do I do?
I'll say with music. Where you come from, where you go. So yes, how do you get into all
the Twin
this?
Cities here. I'm from the Twin Cities. I grew up in St. Paul. When I was 13, I started taking Spanish in Roseville. Well, at that time, I guess it might have been Parkview Middle School. And I was pretty fascinated and spent a year in Mexico, summer in Mexico when I was 17, and the next year I studied abroad in Ecuador for a year. So that was when I was 18, and after that I really got hooked in a lot of Latin music and speaking Spanish, and spent some time in many other Latin American countries over the years, and including Brazil. So I'm really into Brazilian music particularly, and then a lot of European music as well, lots of trips to Europe, especially Italy, where I'll be in 2 weeks, which is why I'm going to miss Noche Hispana 10. So sorry about that. Thank you for inviting me, and I wish I could join you for that program. I've been on a few shows, and it's been just an amazing experience to connect with the community. Lots of appreciation for what I'm doing, so it's great to be a part of it. But I'll have to miss it this year. I'll be in Italy with my 7-month-old baby who's going to meet his cousin who's 2 weeks younger than him, Sofia. My son is named Leonardo. His mother is Italian, Antonella. And on my last CD, there's a song called Antonella la più bella, which I wrote for her. I think I played it in Noche Hispana, actually.
Yes, Antonella la più bella, yes. And here we have a picture of Leonardo. Is he playing already? Did he start learning how to play?
He's already a virtuoso at 7 months, Paulino.
There we have.
That's a first-time father.
He tries to chew on the instruments. So
Well,
he's getting into them. He's getting used
we
to
are
them.
all for experimentation, right?
Lots of exposure. Lots of exposure. That's his first guitar there, that green one. That's only his. The other ones are mine, and I play them for him every day.
Now, I know you not only play by yourself, but you played with groups as well. And I actually have a question from Twitter. Yay! Julissa Angelica, who's performing on Noche Hispana this year, she is asking, Robert, what is it like performing solo versus a group? What's the difference?
Wow. Well, playing alone is, I'd say generally I prefer playing with a group, because playing with an audience, you already hopefully have a dialogue there. But when you're playing with other musicians, you have another meta dialogue with the other musicians that you're playing with, and you're sharing an experience with them, and then all of you are sharing that experience with the audience. So it's a really magical thing to play with a group and an attentive audience. Although there are obviously challenges in managing a group and coming up with the music that you're going to play and distributing all of the music to the players. So it takes a lot of work in terms of writing out sheet music. I mean, when I play on my own, I don't really necessarily need the same level of guidance in terms of sheet music and all of the notes that they would need in what they're reading to be able to play the tune the way that I'm envisioning it. I already have that vision in my head, but in order to share it with them, I need to get it all on paper. And so that's challenging to have. So what I do is I have a different music book for each musician. Like I have a piano book, I have a bass book, I have a percussion book, I have a horn book for the saxophone and trumpet. I have a, is that all of it? I think that's all. Anyway, I have five books.
5 books. You have different types of groups too. I'm sharing a picture here on a group that looks a little more formal. You have these red vests. What is this?
Oh, yeah. That's us playing a few weeks ago at the Festival of Nations. That was my group, Quartetto Italiano. We played old Neapolitan Italian music, and I'm playing a mandolin there. I played mandolin and guitar in that group. We play stuff from the 1800s through the early 1900s, a lot of Neapolitan stuff.
Excellent.
So that
let me find another, maybe another group. How about here? These people here, who are they?
That's Choro Borealis. So that's my Brazilian trio, and I play the guitar and the cavaquinho, which is the small Brazilian 4-string guitar in the center of my wall back here, right there. And then Tim O'Keefe plays percussion and mandolin, and Pat O'Keefe plays percussion and clarinet. Mm-hmm. So that's in that group we played traditional choro music, which was really going on before samba and bossa nova. And you know, we've all played other styles of Brazilian music together, but we're kind of going to this style because it's something that not a lot of people in the Midwest have heard. It's pretty big in Brazil, of course, and in maybe cities like New York and California, or states like New York and California, where there's, you know, a larger Brazilian population. But around here, it's something that not a lot of people have had a chance to hear. So,
Right.
if anybody wants to hear any of this stuff, I have a YouTube channel. You could just do a YouTube search for Robert Everest and or Choro Borealis, which is spelled Choro B-O, and then Borealis, Borealis. That's our Brazilian trio.
Right, and we'll post those links in the event, on the website epcshow.com, and on the YouTube as well. Is this a picture of one of your groups? I believe is the World Music Ensemble.
Yeah, that's this. Well, that was when we had a 7-piece group. We've, you know, for one thing I was going to mention about the playing with a group is a lot of times you don't have that opportunity because people can't necessarily afford to pay 6 or 7 musicians. So we play with 6 most of the time now instead of 7. And of course, a trio is more affordable and more manageable. You need a smaller sound system. So there's trade-offs. I mean, when you play solo, you just bring yourself and your instrument, and it's a lot easier. But so for the 6-piece group, that's us at the Dakota, that's 2 horn players, upright bass, percussion, and keys, and myself.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yep.
Any questions here from Susana, Scotty, Maggie? Yes, Maggie.
I do. Me and I'm full of questions today. Robert, so do you come from like a musical family? How's your family been? Have they been supportive? That's the word. That's what I'm thinking of. Supportive of your musical career.
Oh, they're really supportive. Yeah, my family's very musical. Neither of my parents. Well, my dad still actually sings barbershop quartet, and he does that, I guess you could say, professionally, because he gets paid for it. My mother used to just sing to us all the time when we were little. She sang in college musicals, and my dad played piano and a little bit of guitar and banjo and stuff. So we all grew up playing instruments, starting with piano at age 5, and then guitar at I think 13. I can never remember whether it was 12 or 13, but yeah. So very musical family, and my brother is a full-time professional guitarist, and he writes music for his wife's choreography. She's a dancer. My other siblings are a little bit more hobby musicians, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's definitely something that's in our family.
Now, besides coming from a family of musicians, I've noticed that you not only do music, but explore other kinds of art. Could you tell us a little more about that? I found some pictures here of some visual art.
Yes, that's a painting. That's a painting called Madrid. That one is called Bulls to Japan. Actually, that.
So this one is Madrid, okay?
Yeah, I did that after a trip to Spain. It actually has a sister called Barcelona, which I don't think I have a picture of there. But I was really impacted by Gaudi's architectural work, and I just thought that the flowing and the dripping kind of organic feel was really interesting, and so I started to paint that kind of stuff when I spent some time in Spain. I was studying flamenco guitar in Seville, and so I had a chance to see it went up to Barcelona as well, and saw a lot of Gaudi's work, visiting friends in Madrid and Seville, and I have a friend in Barcelona. So it's kind of all tied together. You know, I paint from what I find traveling, and also, you know, then I use my paintings on that one that was there was another painting there that I've used as a CD cover. The second to the last CD that I recorded has a couple of paintings of mine.
This one, I believe.
Yes, that's the cover for the Robert Everest expedition with the full group.
Right. Yeah. Excellent. Any questions here from my friends? Any other questions?
I have a question.
Tell us.
Okay, so you play all kinds of music from all over the world, which I think is awesome, and you have traveled all over the world too, but why Brazilian music is kind of like a passion? Because I read in your website that you do like every year a carnival, kind of like if we were in Rio or somewhere and you bring musicians from there, and it's like a big deal for you. Why?
Yes.
Why?
You know, there's certain things that you just have an emotional response to, and it's really hard to explain why. But I know that the first time I heard Brazilian music when I was taking Portuguese classes at the university in 1992, I guess it was, I just had this very visceral response to it. I just fell in love with Brazilian music, and that was bossa nova at the time. Antonio Carlos Jobim, The Girl from Ipanema, Corcovado, a lot of those tunes. And is that me in the? I guess you're looking at me in full makeup and costume in our Brazilian carnival event. You know, and so I started playing Brazilian music back and had a band of all Brazilian music starting in '95. And we, you know, I was looking for an event. I had spent some time in Brazil during Carnival, and I thought, well, this is an amazing thing, and we should try to bring it to the Twin Cities. And I know that other people had done Carnival events in the Twin Cities before, but I just thought that I wanted to, you know, the people had hired our band to play for other Brazilian Carnival events, and I thought, you know, I know what Brazilian Carnival is like. This is not Brazilian Carnival. It's like you have a Brazilian band, but it doesn't feel at all like Brazilian Carnival. And so I kind of set about, you know, just trying to recreate what I had experienced in Brazil here in the Twin Cities. And the response has been really, really amazing. We've been really fortunate to have received grants from MRAC for the last 4 years, which have allowed us to afford, you know, flying in Brazilian guests. There's 2 samba dancers that come in from Chicago. They're based there. They're from Sao Paulo originally. There's Dandara, who spends half the year in Salvador Bahia singing in Carnival, preparing for and singing in Carnival there, and then she flies up here the very next week to Minneapolis. She has a childhood friend, actually, that she grew up with that married a guy in Mankato, so she has another reason to come up here, which is how we met. And so that's really fun, yeah. And now, you know, it's just grown to a point I never could have imagined, and I see a lot of potential to make it even bigger and just include more of the community. This last year we had 80 artists that performed.
Wow.
So there were percussionists in 2 percussion ensembles. One was an all-women's percussion ensemble called Drumheart. The other one is Batucada do Norte. And then our group is a 10-piece group with Dandara as our special guest singer. And then we had capoeira artists, Afro-Brazilian martial arts, and several visual artists that help us decorate the space, and face painters and mask makers, and we get the kids involved for the matinee, so there's lots of hands-on activities for that. It's really just become an incredible event. It's a lot of fun to do, but it's an amazing amount of work as well.
I bet. But I cannot wait for Carnival.
Definitely. And I think Susana has a question for you, but before getting there, there's a question from YouTube from Joseph, and he says, ¿Conoces la música de Bach?
Sí, por supuesto. Me gusta tocar la música de Bach. I like playing Bach's music, and I've done it for weddings and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, Jesu Joy and Bourrée and some of those things.
Great.
It's very mathematical music, so it challenges me in a new way. I mean, a lot of the Latin American music that I play, even classical guitar from Latin America, like Antonio Lauro from Venezuela, or you know, Paulo Bellinati from Brazil. These are classical guitarists, you know, who play the Brazilian stuff. Just it flows. It's just more spontaneous for me, or something. It's hard to describe. But Bach, it comes from this, you know, European kind of, I don't know, just like a very precise mathematical perspective, and I love the music for different reasons.
Great. So, we're going to have Susana ask you a question, and then I'm wondering if you could be getting ready to share something with us. Would that be okay?
Yes. We talked about my son earlier, and I have a new song, actually, that I just finished not too long ago. I started it before he was born. And I've always envisioned having other people sing along with me on this tune. So I was wondering if you all might be able to join me.
That's a very nice offer. Unfortunately, in this platform does not work the best because not because we doubt our singing abilities, of course, but because we are at different bandwidths. Believe me, it doesn't really work well. But thank you for the invitation. I think people can sing along at home.
Okay,
but
first
we have a question for Susana.
Okay.
Susana?
Yes, Robert, I know that you might play, some folk music, and I wonder if you have ever encountered the armadillo shell guitars that are played in Mexico in the conchero or Aztec tradition. They're also 12 strings, armadillo shell guitars.
You know what? I actually I had a charango from Bolivia that was made from an armadillo shell, but I'm not sure. Actually, I've never played that instrument. So I've only the one that's up here on the wall that's right here is a charango. That one's made with wood, but I have one that's an armadillo shell. I keep it put away because it's slowly. I hate to say the head is coming off the armadillo because of the tension and the Minnesota changes in climate and stuff. So I don't keep that one out and I don't play it anymore because it's the intonation is off. But no, I'm not familiar with that, so I'll have to look into that. Thank you for turning me on to it.
Great.
Well, I have one.
Oh, you have one. Well, sometime I'd love to try it out. Thank you, Susana.
Okay.
Good. So I think we are ready to hear a song. Is it about Leonardo?
Yes, and it's a very easy song.
So here we have a couple of pictures of Leonardo and his exclusive green guitar.
It's funny when we talk about playing. When I talk about playing instrument, I mean, I play so many different styles of music that it's so hard to even pick in a short, forum like this what I would be playing. But this one has special significance because it's about my favorite person in the world. So this is called LRE, and it's just his initials. We weren't sure if we were going to name him Leonardo or Lorenzo when he was before he was born. So I just thought, well, I'll just sing a song called LRE, and that'll cover it. You'll just have to either sing along or envision it. Maybe it probably won't work to sing along like Paulino said. Tell me who you'll be. Will you climb up the mountain or live in the tree? Hello, 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 hello. L-R-L-R-E. Will you set free? Will you be the voice of America or save Italy? Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello.
Yay!
Thank you very much.
Great job. Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So I got a question that is actually for both of you, and we're gonna start wrapping this up. I'm very excited about this first Educators, Performers, Creators show. I'm wondering, Scotty, Maggie, or Leonor, do you have any final questions for our artists?
Let me think. Well, my last question would be like if you are in the Twin Cities and want to just start doing something different because the two of you now do different stuff, where should you start? Like I want to be a dancer, I want to be a musician. Where should I start?
Who wants to take that?
Well, I'm sure we could both answer that, but I would just say, just start doing what you want to do. And I started playing guitar in coffee shops for free, essentially, for tips. And I had other jobs and stuff, and I still actually work half-time as a medical interpreter in Spanish and Portuguese at HCMC downtown Minneapolis, which is a nice benefits package for an independent musician and artist. So I consider myself very fortunate to have that kind of safety net, especially now that I have a child. But I was just get out there and do what you want to do what you love doing, and eventually people will feel the passion for what you're doing, and eventually you will be compensated. I'm not going to say it can happen overnight, because I've been playing music professionally since I was a teenager, and you really have to be passionate about it, obviously, and then you just go for it, and you kind of craft your life around your passion, and people respond to that passion in you, and they will reward you, whether it's by buying your CD or going to your concert, or just being interested in what you're doing. Because when you see someone who's in their element and living their passion, it's irresistibly attractive, as far as I'm concerned. So and you can always tell someone who's doing something they're not really into it, whether it's a dancer or a singer or any kind of performer. You see someone on stage and they just they have this look on their face like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till I'm done and I can go home, and it's like you feel sorry for that person, like, I think you need a new career. So I think you just find your passion, whatever it is, and then you go for it. And Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss and the universe will reward you, and it keeps rewarding you, so it's awesome. What do you think, Susana?
Susana?
Well, I agree with what Robert is saying, and I always think that if you were an Aztec dancer in a former life, you will come back and you will find dance again. I think that for us it's a little bit different, since folk dancing is very rewarding spiritually, but we don't make money. We all have jobs, and we're volunteers with the group. All the money that the group gets, it gets invested right back into materials for the younger dancers, particularly for the ones who cannot afford to buy, their materials. And so we're always investing, buying food and paying for people's gas so that they can make it to dance. And when you come to dance, it's truly because you love it. And I think that the universe has a way of bringing people to their passions and to where they should be. I think that people who are kind of going to be, I call them quetzales, my group is called Quetzalcoatlicue. So the bird embodies all the beauty. And I think that people who are destined to be beautiful, they will find us, and they will find dance. And they will just fly and soar above the clouds and lift their spirits. So if you want to dance, call me. Send me a message. I will teach you. But then after that, it's all your passion. I totally agree with Robert. It is inside of you, and you can only help it become unlocked. And we are lucky to have over 120 dancers who help us bring that energy out of people. Because I don't do it alone. I'm here, but I'm representing a group of families. So thank you for that question.
Great, and thank you for your answers. I have a question coming from Twitter as well for both of you, Robert and Suzanne. what was one of your most meaningful or memorable performances? One of the most meaningful, memorable performances. Who wants to take that?
I'll let Susana go first if she wants.
Okay, Susana.
We have danced many places, but my favorite dance was just recently we marched against the use of the R. You know, we call it the R word, which is the name of the Washington's team that comes to town, and that name disrespects every indigenous person, and particularly we don't want children to grow up being called mascots. So we work against, you know, the Washington team. I don't want to say the word. You know, to change the name and change the mascot. And that day it was cold, it was freezing, and we were escorted by horses and police officers. But it was one of the most rewarding times for us as dancers. We have done other marches, you know, for immigrants' rights and for other things, but that day everyone had a spirit to end with this racism and have art be a part of that effort. So that's, you know, and continues to be one of my most memorable nights.
Robert?
You know, I've learned a lot of different styles of music, and it's really awesome when an opportunity comes up where I can actually share my music in a way that's meaningful and really ties into whatever the event is going on, whether it's a wedding or you know, a fundraiser for a group or a benefit. In this case, I remember a time when Isabel Allende, the Chilean author who I had been reading since high school, she came to town, and a friend of mine who has connections with public radio, Minnesota Public Radio, had recommended my group as a group, recommended me as someone who could play Chilean music, and there hadn't been. Now there's Alma Andina, which is a lot of Chileans, and but at the time I don't know if there was a lot of people playing Chilean music in town. So they hired me to play music by Violeta Parra and Victor Jara, and I also played some Silvio Rodriguez.
Is that her,
and,
Robert?
Yeah, that's me with Isabel Allende and Carrie Miller on NPR's Talking Volumes. So we were at the Fitzgerald Theater. And it was just amazing to be that close, just a few feet away from this woman whose books I had been reading, you know, for years, and we actually brought her to tears at one point by playing some Victor Jara. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with his music, but you definitely have to hear his music. His life was cut short tragically in the overthrow of Salvador Allende, and he was tortured and killed, and I'm going to get very teary here. But carrying on that legacy and being able to connect and share that music with the audience, and you know, Violeta or Isabel was in tears, and she came up to me afterwards and she said, "Robert, I feel so blessed that someone who's not even from my country was able to share the music of my country in such a personal way." So it was really rewarding, and it was a sold-out crowd too. There was like 1,000 people in the audience, and you could hear a pin drop. So those are always nice when you are totally engaged with the audience.
Awesome. You can definitely tell that it's not just the art and learning to dance and play the guitar, but these artists have a passion for the world and the communities they serve. So I encourage everyone watching this live or the video to learn more about them. I'm going to be posting links to their websites, their videos in Google Plus event on YouTube and epcshow.com. And reach out to them. You might make a great connection. So I'm honored to have you both here and to share their story, your story, and your passion and your art with us. I would like to finish asking all of you if you have anything coming up that people from the world or a certain area should come and see or hear about. Leonor, anything you want to promote?
Well, whoops.
Oh, you got muted.
Okay, am I there?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm very proud to say that we have a Spanish newspaper in the area of Minnesota Central, from St. Cloud all the way down to Glencoe. I know it's not in the Twin Cities, but we're very proud because we are a lot of Hispanic people around here, and we didn't have a Spanish paper before until 4 months ago. So La Corriente, it's a very new project, but it's getting there. We're getting connected.
Great, thank you. Maggie?
Well, my website, you can always find out what I'm doing on my website. I do have a show coming up in June. Yeah, just stay tuned with me on my show, and on Google Plus, Twitter, Facebook.
Good. How about you, Scotty?
I am
And
gearing up.
there we are.
I'm
Yeah.
gearing up for a summer performing with the Picnic Operetta that'll feature some choreography by Paulino, and our social media will be aflame with activities and opportunities to volunteer, foraging and planting events, and getting in the kitchen and making the food that is used to help tell the story. And since Paulino does our Twitter and social media, you know that's going to be really good. Yeah, so looking forward to nice weather, seeing great artists, and hearing great music outside.
Good. At mixprecipitation.org. There's where you find the information for Mixed Precipitation coming up. Susana, any event, anything coming up?
We have a yearly ceremony in which we celebrate the growing of the light. We call the flowering of light, and the name in Nahuatl is Xopantla. Our ceremony will be on June, it's June 13 and 14, the same as Noche Hispana. But don't worry, our ceremony ends at 3 p.m., so you can always go to Noche Hispana after you are done with us. So I invite everyone on Saturday, June 14, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. to join us at Corcoran Park on 34th Street and 19th Avenue South. It's open to the public, it's free. There will be over 100 dancers in full regalia. And then after that, you can go to Noche Hispana.
Excellent, thank you. Robert?
I'm really excited, Paulino, that we're actually, we've done the Brazilian Carnival now for many years, over 10 years. But this year, Roseville Parks and Recreation approached me about doing a Brazilian show outdoors. And it just so happened to coincide, with Festa de São João, which is a really big event in northeastern Brazil. So we're June 22nd from 4 to 8 p.m. It's in Roseville at the Central Park Bandshell on Lexington in Roseville. And it's an outdoor festival with our, 9-piece Brazilian Carnival band, and we'll be playing more music of the Northeast, forró and baião and those kinds of styles of a lot of Afro-Brazilian music. And there will be capoeira, Afro-Brazilian martial arts, samba and forró dance instruction. So it's going to be a great family event. I'm looking forward to just having a ton of people and having this incredible outdoor festival, because we've always wanted to do something like it would feel in Brazil. I mean, we try to recreate it indoors because it's in February or March, for Carnival, but we're really excited to be able to do this on June 22nd for the first time, actually, that I've ever known about a Festa de São João in the Twin Cities.
Perfect. And of course, I have to tell everyone about Noche Hispana 10 coming up June 13, 14, 15 at 7:30, so you can come after Susana's performance. But you can find more information at nochehispana.org. I want to thank everyone watching and everyone here, Susana, Robert, Scotty, Maggie, Leonor. Thank you very much for joining me in the first show of Educators, Performers, Creators. There will be more to come. This first series devoted to Noche Hispana artists continues on June 1st and June 8th at 3 p.m. Central. So tune up for that, and there will be more shows in the future with other ideas and categories. So keep listening and watching. Muchas gracias a todos. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. It's good to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Gracias. Adiós.
Adiós.
Adiós.